use.
Okay. But the levels, so on either report, I understood that the levels that are reported there, for example, the test that's on the screen from the 17th, that 1,127, that doesn't necessarily speak to what was consumed or how much was consumed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But you're just saying to breach the cutoff, it's unlikely that something besides some type of consumption of something that had that um, metabolite of ethanol would not reach the cutoff. But after that, you can't really speak to how it got above the cutoff.
Right. Yeah. Just using products that have ethanol, like mouthwash and hand sanitizer, according to normal use, there's not enough alcohol in those to produce enough ETG to be positive on a screen. So that's not really a likely explanation. You would have to, and then when we go ahead and we confirm it, and we can see what the specific levels are for ETG and ETS. That's not something you could, again, get by just incidental use. You would have to be using hand sanitizer like constantly all day long for 8 hours or so to approach that. So is that
Okay.
possible? Yes. Is it common or likely? No. And then you start to get anywhere above, say, 2,000 nanograms per mil in urine, which we're not quite there here, but if you were higher than that, even hand sanitizer wouldn't be able to produce a level like that.
And what about, I'm thinking now more products that could come in contact with your skin. I don't know, certain cleaning products or fuel, or even, I don't know, this is more of an anecdotal story, but I think there was a case involving someone like spilling a bottle of vodka and cleaning that up. Are there products that could come into your skin that could possibly lead to this type of result?
No. So cleaning products that have ethanol in them and you spill them on your skin, there's the chance that ethanol could be absorbed, but ethanol is not absorbed easily across the skin. You would have to be soaking in it for like a long period of time to do that. So a lot of times when people say it was cleaning solution and they give you the bottle of what cleaner they're using, there's actually not ethanol in it, so it's not going to
Right.
produce these kinds of results.
Okay. Um, and I know that ETG testing is pretty widely used. Is there anything out there? Do you know any studies or organizations that kind of caution against using these ETG results solely as a basis for, a violation as we're doing now?
How you handle violations is not something I can speak to. I assume that if there were organizations like that, they would be more case managers and things like that rather than scientists. As far as scientists go, there's no debate about ETG, the test accurately measuring ETG. It's just a matter of what your cutoff level should be. What's the level above which we say that this is most likely ingestion and not, hand sanitizer or something else? Because we can actually measure it with an LCMS well below 500, but we don't want to be reporting, trace amounts of anything out there. So we raise the cutoff to be higher than that to make sure that we're not
Mhm.
doing that. So that's the debate in the scientific realm.
Right.
Court personnel, how they handle violations, that's not something I really have a lot of expertise in.
Um, and now I kind of want to switch to I think you and Ms. McDuffie talked a little bit about the interplay of certain health conditions or medications. I know you spoke specifically to if someone had a liver condition, but that would probably show up in the creatinine result, is what you said. Is that correct?
Well, it could. If you have a diseased liver, say, you could have a dilute sample, or what appeared to be a dilute sample, just because you're not producing much creatinine, because creatinine would be produced in the liver, which is the liver's job, one of the liver's jobs. And so if your liver isn't functioning, that could be the case. If that was the case, though, and you did have a liver disease or kidney disease, you would expect to see these dilutes to be fairly common. You'd see a lot of them. You wouldn't just see, one in 50 samples was dilute and the rest of them are normal. That's not the pattern you'd expect to see if it was disease related.
Are you aware of any health conditions where it wouldn't show up in that way? So that it wouldn't show up as a diluted sample, but that condition could affect the body's ability to metabolize the compound here that we're testing for.
Um, Well, if you didn't metabolize ethanol, you'd still have the ethanol in your system, right? So if you didn't have, if ethanol wasn't being metabolized to ETG, the sample would be negative for ETG. I suppose that's possible. I'm not aware of any conditions specifically like that, but in that case, we wouldn't have a positive result to talk about.
Okay. Um, could a certain type of medication or condition cause someone to, I guess, come in less contact with ethanol, say, for example, what we were talking about, mouthwash or something like that, and cause the result to be higher than it would be for someone who doesn't have that same condition or is on that same medication, if that makes sense, how I'm asking it.
So I think if you're asking, is there any medication that would increase the amount of ETG? I don't think so, because how much ETG is produced from ethanol is a function of the person's own, biochemistry. So I don't know about any medications that would alter that. Typically, medications would, if they're diuretics, might cause you to excrete more water, and so again, your sample would look more dilute. I don't know of anything that would increase the amount of ETG being produced from ethanol specifically.
Okay. And so a blood thinner, for example, that would not lead to that result possibly.
No, blood thinner, those again are kind of are diuretics mostly.
Okay.
So that could be, or they can be. There's also, things that act independently of the water content of your blood. So those kinds of things tend to make the sample more dilute.
Okay. And just I think a last question in that avenue, I guess, is there a possibility that someone who's testing and who has been diagnosed with cancer, specifically prostate, is that something that could have any interplay here with the results that we're looking at today, in your opinion?
Prostate cancer, I mean, if they were being treated with some kind of medication, we would have to see what the medication was. I don't think the cancer itself, not that I know of. I understand prostate cancer can make it kind of difficult to produce a urine sample sometimes, but I'm not, outside of whatever medication might be being used, I don't think it would alter the components of the urine sample.
Okay. You did say a few times just now, to your knowledge, so you're not exclusively saying that that's not possible, but just to your knowledge, you're not aware of that having a possible effect.
That's correct.
Okay. Let me just look through here. I think I have asked most of what I wanted to ask. I believe that's, for now, all the questions that I had. Thank you, Dr. Glenn.
Thank you.
Anything further, Ms. McDuffie?
Nothing from the people. Thanks so much, Dr. Glenn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Glenn. This was very informative. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Shall I hang up now?
Yes, this witness may be excused, correct?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Any further witnesses from the people?
Your Honor, no further witnesses, but just as I mentioned earlier, I feel like I need to follow up, at least via email, with Ms. Aesthorpe to clarify those questions that I didn't get to ask her when she was on earlier today. So I guess I would ask the court, could we not completely rest until I can get that answer back and forwarded to the court and counsel?
Ms. Moeller, do you have a response to that?
I have no objection to that, Your Honor.
Then I guess that is what we will do. I mean, it poses kind of a difficult situation because technically she's not under oath and there won't be room for cross-examination on that. So I'm not completely comfortable with that, to be honest. And I don't know that it changes anything unless it becomes an issue with disputing whether it's his. I think they would have to create the issue, which then we could do a rebuttal to.
What can I ask this? Because Ms. Moeller, again, was put in a very difficult situation today, not realizing whether or not she was going to be counsel at this hearing. I did not know if she was requesting sort of an adjournment to also gather any evidence or defenses that she had. So if we were planning to come back, I could get that answer and potentially have Ms. Aesthorpe return and be sworn in if necessary.
All right.
Your Honor, that's what I was going to propose to. If the court would allow, I was going to request an adjournment to see if we do have a possible witness that we may call. I mean, I want to ask Mr. Brown a few questions, but I would like a chance. Like I said, I only spoke with him yesterday, and I'd like to be able to have time to follow up with his doctor, his neurologist, and just kind of explore that. So if we were granted a later hearing and then Ms. McDuffie wanted to produce that witness, and I'd have no objection to that at that later date.
All right. I suppose, what do we have? April 30th at 11? We could do April 30th at 11 a.m. It will be in person. Yeah, if we need the AverHealth person, they could be on Zoom though, just so we're clear.
As soon as I get that response, I'll forward it. And I'm sorry, oh, tickle in my throat. Just let me know if that's basically unsatisfactory and if we need to have her sworn or if that's acceptable and doesn't affect everything else. I can let her know that too.
Hearing continued to April 11th, 2024 at 11 a.m. in person. Bond is continued. We'll see everyone then.
Hi, everyone.
That is our last hearing for today. Court is adjourned.